And we compare ourselves to others. So it's like a constant reminder, they have this, I don't have this. They have this, I don't have this. There are these emotions that we feel that is very difficult for us to admit openly that we feel them. It comes with a lot of guilt, shame, and it's important that we talk about it and focus on it because this is really the world we live in, triggers a lot of this emotion within us, and that's envy. And in this video, I'm going to break down what envy is, what it feels like, what the purpose of envy is, and strategies that you can use to help counteract any envy that you feel once and for all. I want to start by saying that envy is an emotion, just like any other emotion. Yet because it's not really socially accepted, this is something we don't think about, and we may even try to reject our feelings of envy. And there's an important difference between envy and jealousy. So typically, when we feel jealous, it's because we're afraid of losing something we already have. And when we feel envy, it's because we want what we don't have, what someone else has. So for example, my girlfriend comes home from work and starts talking about the new colleague that's just joined, how funny they are. They make so many jokes. They're so funny. They're the funniest person they've ever met. And so my girlfriend starts talking about this colleague a lot of the time. I can start feeling jealous, which is, why is my girlfriend now talking about this colleague, saying that they're the funniest person they've ever met? This is a threat to me because I'm perceiving this as, is my girlfriend more interested in this colleague or finding them more attractive in certain ways or more appealing than me? That's where I'm afraid of losing my girlfriend to this person because this person seems to be obviously funnier than me. They keep talking about them. So now are they shifting towards them and away from me? Is there now distance? So jealousy can lead to these kinds of thoughts. Jealousy can also lead to envy, and envy is more, I want what that person has. I want what they have. So in this example, I feel jealous that my girlfriend's talking about this person. I feel they're losing interest in me. And that may make me envious of that person. Like, I want to be as funny as that colleague. I want to be as interesting as that colleague. And it makes complete sense and it's completely natural because by having envy and wanting what that person has, the plan is to neutralize the threat. So if I'm as funny as that person, and if I have what they have, my girlfriend will no longer just talk about them, they'll be more interested in me. So I've neutralized the threat. So envy is a very normal reaction and emotion that we all experience, yet it seems to be accompanied by so much guilt and shame. We feel very embarrassed to admit we feel envious of someone. I guess we don't want to admit when we feel that we are inferior to other people or we want what others have. So there's two sides to envy. There's how it makes us feel and how we react towards others. So we may feel fairly frustrated, sad, low, inadequate. We may feel these feelings when we have envy because we just don't feel we're enough or we don't have what this other person has that we've decided we want. And it can lead us to acting out. So those feelings can lead us to being quite bitter towards that person, resentful, sarcastic. So you can see how very quickly envy can turn into a very toxic emotion because it feels very negative. And if we don't know how to handle it and deal with it, it can very quickly lead us to engaging in toxic behaviors or behaviors that ultimately are not going to make us any happier. They're not going to make us productive. They're going to get us in this negative cycle that it feels very difficult to get out of. There's a way to process envy that will support you, and it's to use it as a signal. And I would say that actually any emotions we have are to be served as a signal to us, particularly emotions that we deem to be negative, like sadness, depression, anxiety, stress. These emotions and these feelings are signals that something needs to change or something needs to be looked into. And envy is no different. Once you start understanding your emotions as a signal that something needs to change or something needs to be understood better, you will change your relationship with those emotions. It doesn't change how it feels within you. It still feels very awful and negative, and you still have that urge to want to engage in behaviors like, gossiping or talking bad about someone or being resentful, whatever it might be. that urge is still there, but if you just keep on focusing that these emotions are like a signal, it will help you and support you into looking into it more and deciding what is the best way to deal with it. There are many reasons why we may feel envious. So one of them is self-comparison. We compare ourselves to others. It's like, this person has this, I don't have this. You see people driving around in flashy cars, nice clothes, they have loads of money, they have a big house, whatever it might be that we're envious of. And we compare ourselves to others. So it's like a constant reminder, they have this, I don't have this. They have this, I don't have this. Rather than focusing on how can I get that, we're just always focused on the external person and what they have. And it's always like, well, you don't have this now, they have that, so you're going to feel low. So envy is one of those really tricky emotions to manage because we can feel low as a result and we can feel really unmotivated. We think there's no point. And it can even lead us, as I said, to become quite toxic. Like, we might start gossiping about that person, or that person got really lucky. We don't really say, well, that person worked really hard to grow their business. They committed to it. They used discipline. They were focused. They took sacrifices. They grew their business. They work 80, 100 hours a week. I mean, they absolutely deserve their success. I don't think many people tend to say that or focus on that because that requires more of a conscious understanding and a divorce from your feelings, that separation from your feelings. We tend to say that person got lucky, they cheated, I'm sure there's fraud going on. We come up with all sorts of reasons, I guess, to make ourselves feel better. And that in itself is also okay. I don't think we should judge ourselves for doing that. Not only are we trying to make sense of why someone has what we don't have, but we're also at the same time dealing with our own feelings of inadequacy or jealousy. And so by saying these things, they are indirectly making us feel better. And it's just our normal, natural response in order for us to help protect our ego, preserve our sense of self, and make us feel better so that we can move on to the next thing. Envy can also arise when we feel insecure or have unmet needs. Now, there's many reasons why we feel insecure. I believe that everyone has the capacity and capability to feel secure, regardless of how much money they have or what possessions they have. Security and a sense of self and self-esteem is not determined by these things. Of course, there's a certain level and certain threshold you have to meet in terms of earning a certain amount of money and making a living in society. That matters. You need to make sure that you're not struggling, because that's obviously, if you're struggling financially or however, it will and can impact your self-esteem, especially in the society you live in. What I'm speaking about is more the feelings of insecurity that we develop is rooted and based upon our earlier experiences, and that is out of our control. We do not choose our parents. We do not choose who's raised us and how they've raised us. Everyone will have their own prejudices and traumas that they're dealing with. So we are going to be subject to that as we're growing up. And our sense of esteem and security is formed right from the early years, as soon as we're born, the way we attach to our caregivers. All of these things factor into how secure we feel about ourselves and whether we feel adequate or inadequate. And us comparing ourselves to others can be a way of trying to make sense of why we're feeling quite low. And if we're feeling quite low because of how we've been raised, then this pattern continues of, I'm only worthwhile or I'm only worth something if I compare myself to what other people have. If I feel I have more than the other person has, I feel better about myself. If I feel someone else has more than me, I'm going to feel envious and I'm going to feel worse about myself because I don't have what this person has. So comparing yourself is really the roots of how envy and jealousy arise, and it can be born from insecurity. This is why we may compare ourselves. When we feel envy or jealous, we need to explore back at the roots of that. Like, where is this coming from? Why am I having these feelings? So let's jump into the techniques. The first, which I've already touched upon, is self-awareness. Why am I feeling envious? Why am I feeling jealous? So it could be that someone has a house. Why is it so important that I have the house they do? Is it really the house that matters to me, or is it what the house brings or what it means? Maybe they have a lot of people coming around. Maybe they have a lot of friends or so-called friends that want to be with them because they see, or they have a nice house. I should get in with this person and become their friend so I can enjoy what they have. So again, It's what is it that they have that I'm missing? And sometimes we have to dig under the surface to understand, what emotion am I really chasing here? I'm feeling envious because they have a house, but is it the house I want, or is it what the house represents emotionally for me? The second way to deal with envy is to reframe your perspective. Shift your perspective. Envy is going to naturally make us focus on what the other person has. So therefore, we brought our focus of attention outside us and to the external, to the other person. And what I'm going to ask you to do is reframe your perspective and bring it back in. So let's say they have something you want to achieve, and you've understood the reasons why you want to achieve that. And it may be a legitimate thing. You may well want a bigger house because it's important to you for many reasons, and you are happy and confident that those reasons are worth pursuing. Fair enough. In that case, stop focusing on what they have now and bring it back in. What steps can you take in order to achieve that? And start celebrating your successes and celebrating your failures. Because with each failure, you are going to learn how to become stronger next time. With each failure, you are more likely to succeed for next time if you embrace it as a lesson. So reframing your perspective around envy and using it as a source of motivation and growth and planning can really be helpful, because you've now turned something that was your enemy and was bringing you down, and you've now turned it into a weapon for success and meeting your goals. The third thing is gratitude. This matters because I think personally that envy is the complete opposite emotion of being grateful. Envy is when you want what someone else has that you don't have, and being grateful is focusing on what you do have and being grateful for it. And so if you feel yourself being quite envious and it's really getting to the point where it's becoming toxic, then shift to the opposite, which is being grateful. I'm feeling envious. It's okay. Let me now just think of things I'm grateful for. Once you say it out loud, you've shifted your perspective away from the envy to the gratitude. It's not to say that that envy is going to go away. I don't want to give you the impression that you can just get rid of envy like that. The feeling and the emotions there, and it's okay for it to be there. That's the first thing you have to accept. It's normal for me to feel envious because I want what this person has. I want more than I have. It's completely normal. So accept it, but then shift to focusing on what it is you do have. Once you've done that, and once you've counteracted this negative emotion you have using gratitude, you can then focus on, right, what are my next steps? How can I move forward? The next one is showing self-compassion. Now, this links in with being grateful, and it links in with, being self-aware of how you feel. You have to accept how you feel. Don't be embarrassed about it, because like I said, envy is a very normal reaction. And show yourself compassion. Allow yourself to feel that way. Say, it's okay that I want what they want. It's okay. Let me just sit with it for a while. Don't judge yourself. Don't critique yourself. Just acknowledge that that's what's going on within you, and then sit with it. Be comfortable with it so you can move forward to a plan. And this is where the next strategy comes in. Set yourself personal goals. This is a very powerful one, because you are taking a negative emotion that you're experiencing and you're using it to create personal goals that will help you to counteract and achieve what you want to achieve. I want to add here that there is a common mistake that people make, an assumption people make, which is, if I have what this person has, I will be happy. So what you've just done is you've said, I will be happy when? I will be happy when I get these things. You've just taken your happiness and assigned it as a goal. And what you've therefore done is resigned yourself to being miserable. Like, I cannot be happy now until I get these things. So therefore, you just told yourself, I can't be happy now until I get these goals. I can't be happy. I'm here. And that's not where happiness is. Because so many people have had that belief. They've gone on to achieve everything and they're still miserable. They realize, wow, this is not what life's about. Life is so much more. And life is more. Happiness is not assigned to an external goal. You may still want those things, but you can be happy in the pursuit of them. The next step is actually to restrict the triggers to envy. So if you, for example, on social media, you see these really polished images of people on the beach or on a holiday in a nice car or boat, these images can trigger a lot of jealousy within us, because clearly we're not right now on a boat. We might be working, we might be on the train, we might be doing something we don't want to do, which is very likely in today's world. And so we see these really nice images of people looking really happy. Like, they're happy, I'm not. They've got it sorted out, I don't. So these images can instill a lot of jealousy and envy within us. And so you need to sometimes limit the exposure to these images because they're not helping you. This video is serving as a useful reminder to me that it's okay to want what they want. It's natural to want more. It's always natural to want more, especially when your basic needs are met. But there's ways to use that emotion to your advantage. Finally, I'm going to mention around talking it out. Talking with a therapist or a professional helps, because if you feel that no one's understanding you, or you're just being judged for having these feelings, you're not feeling heard, seek out a professional that you can talk to and you can trust, that will help to listen to you, where these feelings are coming from. And not only that, they will help you to get to the bottom of where these feelings originate and how you can reclaim ownership of your self-esteem and progress towards the goals that you want to. Please comment below on how you feel envy or jealousy has impacted you. It's really important we start talking about this. Please write it out. I'd be very curious to hear what your story is. Use these tips that I've shared in this video as steps and techniques that you can use, and you have to experiment with what works. Please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.